Good morning. Welcome. My name is Claudia Berry, and I chair this monthly program committee, and we are thrilled to see all of you here in person, and also a special welcome to all of you who have joined us via live streaming. Just want to remind you right now, this special thing that you have brought with you, it's really nice if you would turn it off so that we do not interrupt Jason, our speaker this morning, who is going to give us a wonderful talk about the Ottawa County parks. So without further ado, as you've turned off your phone, I would like to introduce Sharon Ahrenstorz, president of HASP.
I like this silence. You're all on pins and needles this morning. I wish this were my house. Okay. I have a question for you this morning. What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Did you need a moment to think about that, or did something come to mind just like that for you? Perhaps some of you are still struggling to sort of figure that out. You know, what is it you really appreciate at this time in your life? Ooh, I wasn't going to ask you to respond, but let's shout them out. What are some of the things you're grateful for? Our parks, grandchildren, good health, when peace breaks out. Great. You know, I wasn't going to ask you to even say anything, but I'm glad that you came to mind so quickly. If I were to ask you to turn, I'm not going to do this, but if I were to ask you to turn to your neighbor and to express some of the things you're grateful for, I imagine you'd feel pretty comfortable about that. Yep, I see lots of nods. That's good. So today, I want to introduce this very simple process that we're going to engage in. We're going to have an invitational question, like the one I just said, and a time for reflection, and then a time for sharing and listening together. So I'm inviting all HASP members to this simple process as we think together about HASP and envision our future. And we're going to call this HASP Forward. There's an alignment with hope going on here. Do you get it? HASP Forward. Our summer term will be ending in 2 weeks, and we're going to begin this self-reflection process together as we envision our future by looking at our past and our present. And we have scheduled, so far, 3 HASP Forward Envisioning meetings that will take place on the last 3 Tuesdays of August from 1 to 3. There'll be in-person gatherings at the HASP classroom. We're going to limit the size, so we are going to send out an email link this week for registration. And if these 3 fill up, we will add more sessions. But we're going to really keep it simple. 1 meeting, so you only have to come to 1 meeting. 1 meeting, 2 hours, 4 questions. 1 meeting, 2 hours, 4 questions. And all that information we gather, some of the thoughts and some of the things you expressed during that time, we will collate and pass on to the board of directors as they continue this process of envisioning and imagining our future in HASP forward terms. So watch for that email invitation, register, and we will add more sessions as we need to. And again, this week, I'd like to have you watch for an invitation that'll be coming from special events with new information about 2 fall events. The first is Art Prize Grand Rapids, which will be on September 29. And then Murals of Holland will be on October 13th. The Communications Committee is very excited about something that will be happening soon. They will be unveiling a new digital format of the monthly newsletter in October. And this new digital format will be easier to read and will help you find the information that's important to you. Hot topics will appear on the front page with links to read more, and pictures from our new photography special interest group will be showcased. The new digital format will have many advantages, but for those who prefer paper and ink, a printed copy will also be available. And finally, there will be an announcement coming soon about the new photography SIG and how you might learn to create beautiful images, and that announcement will be coming as how you might get involved in that. So now I'd like to introduce Membership Chair Doug Walford, who will introduce our guests and new members this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. We are very pleased to have 5 guests in attendance this morning, and I would like to welcome each of you by name. First of all, Kathy Colton, Rob Colton, Lisa Lindemulder, Elaine Beisel, and Alan Tenhor. We are very delighted that you are with us this morning. We're anxious for you soon to learn all the great things that HASP has to offer you, and we sure would love to have you join us. Also, we're pleased to welcome and introduce 6 new members this morning. Some of them are attending online, but those of you who are in attendance, if you wouldn't mind, if you could stand when I read your name, turn around, let us recognize and greet you. So, joining today are Jan Clark, Janine Judah, Lisa Robinson, Tom Robinson, Barbara Springer-Selig, and David Tenhor. So please join me in giving a HASP welcome to our new members. One more comment, please keep thinking of friends you know, and we all do, all have friends who would really enjoy and get a lot out of HASP. Talk to them about it, invite them to a monthly meeting. We'd love to have them as well. Thank you.
This morning, I have the honor of introducing our program and our speaker. Our program today is entitled Exploring the Ottawa County Parks. And this begins by, after 2 unprecedented years, parks, trails, and open spaces are more important than ever. So we're going to learn about them, how they enhance our quality of life for our residents and for people who visit us, and how it is important to preserve our parks, open spaces, and provide outdoor and natural resource-based recreation and educational experiences. Ottawa County has over 40 properties and collectively covers over 7,000 acres. Now, before I give you a little background about our speaker, I'm going to pose 3 questions to you, but I don't want you to whip out your cell phones and look up the answers. I want you to listen carefully to what Jason is going to tell us and see if he answers any of these questions. The very first question is, in 1929, the granddaddy of all parks was founded. What is it? In 1927, our past president, Gerald R. Ford, was a Boy Scout at this Boy Scout camp in one of these parks. And finally, and I'm sure you're all going to get this one, the Fresh Scented Park was once home to a skunk farm. So let's just keep that in our minds, no cheating now. And I'll introduce to you Jason Chamblin, Ottawa County Parks and Recreation Commission Director. He has had a passion for the outdoors, which he developed while growing up in the hills of rural Ohio. Prior to arriving at Ottawa County in 2019, he was Assistant Director of MetroParks of Butler County, Ohio. His father is a retired college professor, and Jason came to us here in Ottawa County from a college town in Ohio, Oxford. He has worked in municipal parks and recreation for over 24 years, and he is a proud graduate of Ohio University and Hocking College. Please join me in welcoming Jason Shamblin.
Good morning, everybody. So you all can hear me all right, hopefully. So I can't believe it's been 24 years. It's incredible. I started out in southern Ohio, Athens, Ohio, and was born and raised there in rural, I call it the foothills of Appalachia, and it was incredible. And when I went to college, I really just gravitated towards the natural resources and ended up going to Hocking College, which is a 2-year school, and then went back to OU and finished my degree. And then I've been working ever since. So I started out with the YMCA and then moved to Central Ohio, where I worked in several different communities and left as a director of a municipal department. And during that time, I met my wife, Allison, and my 3 children. And we were in southwestern Ohio, and we were trying to figure out a last-minute vacation. And one of the young men who worked for me had moved to southern Ohio from Michigan, and he said, boy, you should go up and check out Michigan and Lake Michigan. And so we stayed in Baldwin and then took day trips all along the lakeshore and just really fell in love with West Michigan. And on the way home to Oxford, I looked at my wife and I said, boy, wouldn't it be neat to live there? And so then like 5 or 6 years later, here we are. My kids got settled just about 5 or 6 months before COVID hit. So it's been an interesting 3 years to relocate, but I tell people I've got the best parks job in the state of Michigan. So we certainly have, if not the best, some of the best natural resources right here in Ottawa County and the whole state. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing and working on. So, we talked about, the history a little bit of Ottawa County and the parks, but the parks started in 1929, and they were originally operated by the Road Commission. And so these are 3 of them: North Beach, Riverside, and Tunnel Park. And so in 1987, the Board of Commissioners had the foresight to say, we really have some of the best natural resources. We really need to focus on parks. The Road Commission does a nice job of taking care of the rest stops, but really they just mow the grass and take out the trash. We want to do a little bit more, so they created the Parks Commission. And subsequently then, our task has been to balance growth with the natural resources and preserving the parks that we have. So we passed our first millage in 1996, and then it's been passed twice since then, and then it will be up for renewal again in 2026. So from very early on in 1987, there was a focus on the greenways. So you can see here we have 4 different greenways identified. Obviously Lake Michigan that I fell in love with, but then to the north we have the Grand River, and then about halfway down we have the Pigeon River, and then down here in the southern part of the county we have the Macatawa River. But from 1987, they had identified that the natural resources along these greenways were significant, and even from back then, the land acquisition strategies was to acquire these properties along these greenways and then try to connect them at some point with trails for recreational use. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, we're a little over 7,000 acres and 40 properties, over 150 miles of trails with our 4 greenways. So this is a map of some of our parks and the Grand River Greenway. So this is the first one that we'll talk about. And I have a little video, so you don't have to listen to me the whole time.
Two great cities, Grand Rapids and Grand Haven, both on the banks of the Grand River, where urban meets nature. What if we could connect these two iconic cities? Imagine if we could explore the beauty along the Grand River. With over 8,000 acres of land, filled with hidden bayous, vast parks, and deep woods. What if we could connect it all? Explore it all. Spending a day, a weekend, or even a lifetime discovering something new. We can build a trail to connect it all, for everyone. This is the vision for the Grand River Explorers Trail. Explore for a day, explore for a lifetime.
So, and you'll see it's called the Idaho Explorers Trail now, and this map kind of represents the various segments. It's 36.5 miles long. It's a little over a $26 million project that they've been working on for a decade now. And when I got here, we were still in the middle of a $7.2 million fundraising campaign associated to help support this. So we closed that out last year, and now we're just trying to work on the construction projects, or completing the construction projects. It's such a big, we'll skip past that, it's such a big project that we have it split up into different segments. So we have three that I'll talk about today. This one is the Jensen Mill segment. So this one's really important to us because you can see the dotted line there kind of going up and down is the Ottawa County, Kent County lines, and it will cross into Kent County, and then from Kent County you can connect into over 100 miles of existing trails, make it all the way to Millennium Park. And one of the neat things about this, it then on the other end, we have a big property there called the Bend area to the top of the page. So Georgetown is one of our most populated areas with over 55,000 residents, and they don't have a public access point necessarily to the river. So we're excited about this connection because they'll be able to connect into Kent County, but also then the Bend area is a great connector to the river. So I do have, this one's under construction as we speak. We'll be done with it late summer into the fall, and we hope to do then a ribbon cutting or grand opening of this segment, which will be really exciting. So this is a video of some of the boardwalk and bridges that have gone in. So they started this last November, before the weather got really bad, and put in the head walls and the pilings, and then that's been underway. They were working on pavement recently. So it's an absolutely beautiful segment. It goes in, if anybody knows where the Kent County Water Treatment Facility is, it connects in behind there, and that's where it connects into Kent County's trails. This also, so one of our campaign shares was Peter Secchia, and we will have an archway between Kent County and Ottawa County memorializing Peter and his legacy, but also his work on the Greenway. I don't know if that person met OSHA requirements, crossing that little. So, and to me, so 96th is just really close. You're in such a heavily populated area, and it's like you're in rural southern Ohio. It's really exciting that we have these resources for everybody to enjoy right there in their backyard. So this is another segment, and this one's interesting. The project evolves over time. So this is a gap that we have between Grand Haven and then 231, the north and south bridge over the river. There's a trail there. And so from there going west leads up to this segment. And then from this segment to the west, there's trail built all the way into. So we have this one segment. It's a rather expensive segment, and we have grant funding identified, and we were like 2/3 of the way through engineering and design, so it could have been bid out this year. And an engineer in an office found an obscure federal highway regulation that said, well, if you're doing repairs on any part of a bridge and it's out of compliance, you have to update everything. So it added a little over $300,000 to our project, and we had to say, well, hold on, how do we figure that out? And the Road Commission worked with us, and we'll be bidding that out later this year, hopefully in about a month or so, and then we'll start the project on it. It'll be really exciting to have this complete, because then we'll have a full circle actually from 231 west to Grand Haven. You can go up across the bridge and then hit the North Bank Trail on the north side all the way to 231 and go down. So we'll have a little over I think it's like a 26-mile loop that this will complete. So this one is under construction as well. And has anybody been to Grand Valley? So Grand Ravines is just south and east a little bit of Grand Valley's campus, and it's adjacent to it. And we've already had the trail connection. You can see that's complete in black there that connects into the campus. And so what we're working on now is connecting the park down along the riverfront into Grand River Park. So Grand Ravines is one of our signature parks. It's really heavily used. It's incredibly beautiful. It reminds you of Southern Ohio, or reminds me of Southern Ohio, where I grew up with the big ravines. So, and then Grand River Park is kind of a hidden gem back there, and it doesn't get as used as much. And we really feel like this connection will really activate that park, and it's an absolutely beautiful project too. So I do have a little bit of video footage for this one. So this is right along the river, and it's not quite as long. It's only a little over a mile segment, but when you count the trails inside the parks, you can do over 9 miles of trails. So you could park at either one and go explore. Now, Grand Ravines easily is in the fall is where we have the most senior pictures taken. So people come from all over West Michigan to go there, and I've seen, couches out on the middle of our trail there because folks come and take all sorts of pictures. It gets actually a little nutty those first few weeks in October. So to talk about projects a little closer to here, we have been working on the Macatawa Greenway and with our partners down here. So we have what we call phase 1 of the Macatawa Greenway complete, and that is a assigned trail along the river. And then we've been working on several different parts to continue working on connecting it. So we acquired the little parcel up at the top in pink. So Hawthorne Ponds is co-owned by Holland Charter Township and Ottawa County Parks, and Holland Charter Township manages it. And then we have the Middle Mac, which is directly to the east, and our goal is connecting this trail through there, and then up, we would be able then to connect into the Upper Macatawa natural area, which then connects in with the Fred Meyer Trail on the other side. So we have a project that has been defined, And we've been working on that. That's still in the process. We had looked at a land acquisition, an additional land acquisition to help with that. We've also looked at several different grant funding, and we think it potentially would be a great opportunity for one of the ARPA projects in the future. So we continue to work with our partners on this one. So the Pigeon River, so our Nature Education Center, has anybody been to the Nature Education Center? So it's at Hemlock Crossing, and it's a beautiful stop. Stop by and enjoy it. So that's there in the front. And then the Pigeon River connects all the way out to Lake Michigan. And you can see this doesn't do a great job, but the red line connects. Pine Bend is to the west of Hemlock Crossing along the river. And right now, it's, I think, one of the most beautiful. It's a natural surface trail, but it's a beautiful hike to hike between Pine Bend in the top right and Hemlock Crossing. But we've been working on the connection from Pine Bend all the way out to Lake Michigan for quite some time. Consumers Energy owns a lot of that segment with the power plant. And in 2020, they kind of stopped talking to us, and we kept bugging them, hey, what's going on? We'd gone out and laid out this route, had met with them, and we're starting to do the process to do a permit so we could start to build the trail there. And then they announced that they're closing the power plant. So this is on hold until they're doing site investigations right now on what the future of that property can look like. We know there are ash ponds directly to the north of where we want to run our trails, so that's going to stay under the ownership of Consumers Energy for probably 40 years as they monitor those sites, but we have to be a little bit patient while they work through the decommissioning of that. But it's supposed to be decommissioned by 2025. So this project took quite a few years to fundraise for us. We have the Ottawa County Parks Foundation helped, our Parks Commission helped, along with the Shoreline Astronomical Association. And I didn't quite get, there's one more letter in there that I didn't quite get. But they had been working on this. They do programming with us already right now. And so it's built and on site. So we haven't, it's not quite finished on the inside, but we have the telescope, and hopefully this fall or in the upcoming months, we'll do a dedication of that. And then we'll be able to not only have the programming that we already do in the park, we'll have a live stream in our nature center to the observatory. So we can have a class inside watching what they see in the telescope. So we're really excited about that. The groundbreaking was last fall, so, and then we acquired the dome, and the group has then been building it for us, assembling it for us on site this year. So Rosie Mound expansion, one of our signature parks. So has anybody been to Rosie Mound? I like to say, I believe there are more steps on the way back than there are on the way there. And this is an incredible opportunity that we have. The adjacent property owner, it's 127 acres, and so what you see before you in the green is what we currently have, Rosie Mound, and it runs out to Lakeshore Drive and then along the Lake Michigan frontage. And the property we're talking about is to the north and the east. So, and you can see it's highlighted here in red. It's 127 acres, and what's so exciting is there's over 100 acres of critical dunes that are left undisturbed. So we have a letter from the property owner. They've committed to selling the property to us. We have an application in for a natural resources trust fund application that will help fund it. This is a concept plan of, well, actually, that's just the plan of the existing conditions. So it is a big open area, and that's what the picture is. This is a picture of the property looking to the east or to the west and to the north. But all of that has been seeded with native seed mix, And then we'll just connect internally with trail systems and have some educational opportunities there on site. A day use area, small parking, and probably a restroom facility. So the current property owner has committed $1 million from the appraised value to help us with the purchase. And then our Parks Foundation will be fundraising to meet what we need to do to finalize that acquisition. So this property, and it doesn't have the title, this is Ottawa Sand. So they started working on this in 2016, I think. They acquired half of it in 2018. The Land Conservancy of West Michigan was a partner. The property owner, it's 350 acres north of Grand Haven, right along the Grand River and North Shore Drive. The Land Conservancy purchased the other half, and then they made payments on it. So they took out a loan and owned it for a year while we applied for another grant to acquire the second half. And I was lucky enough, I've been here all of probably less than a month, and I got a sign on to secure the property for the second half. And so it is an old gravel mining property, and we received over $8 million in funds to help pay for it. And the property owner gave us or donated $2.8 million of the value. And it was just this incredible opportunity. It wasn't in our long-range plan just because it was too expensive. And we thought that it was too valuable for housing and it would likely be developed. But the seller was willing to sell it to us, and a lot of things came together and a lot of people helped make this happen. There's an 80-acre man-made lake, and there's over 5,500 feet of river frontage there. And one of the great things or neat things that I've learned about the Grand River and here coming into Lake Michigan is it is one of the most significant areas for birding and for secretive birds. So with the marshes and the wetlands, and that includes Ottawa Sands. So we've lost over 70% of our wetlands and our habitat, and this area really is important to continue that work. So when we did the master plan the first year, we looked at it, and one of our goals for our parks is that our programs, our facilities, our services are accessible and inclusive. And we identified really quickly that Ottawa Sand, as much of a treasure as it is, it really has a limited access and barriers that really limit a lot of the public from being able to use it. We also knew that it has these spectacular views, and you can go there and just have this emotional experience standing on the lake, looking across the lake. So as we started working on the master plan, one of our goals was, well, how do we protect that experience and then improve the access? But we understand it's an old sand mine, so it really ecologically needs some significant improvements. So this was an assessment of the conditions, but over half of the site had been highly, highly disturbed. Part of what we needed to focus on was the ecological health and improving those natural features. So we came up with a plan through our improvements and restoration efforts that 31% of it would undergo extensive ecological restoration or improvements. 61% would be improved through our development for moderate restoration, and 8% of the overall property would be developed. So we would maintain, for the most part, 82% of the site and then improve over 61. So we right now have secured with Great Lakes Audubon a restoration Sustain Our Great Lakes grant for $400,000 to start that restoration work. It'll work on shoreline, softening, and reconstruction. So the lake is beautiful and it's got really high quality water, but it doesn't have all of the microorganisms and organic material needed to make it a good ecosystem for other wildlife and fish and fauna. So we'll work on that shore softening, as well as wetlands and some of the dунal marsh recreations that were there before it was a sand mine. So these are some of the areas. So between the lake and the Grand River is where it was highly, highly disturbed. Right now, although there's grasses, it really is not a good ecosystem. So we'll be working on the dунal wetlands there. We've also applied for a second grant to do the planning for the restoration of the rest of it, as well as along the shoreline of the Grand River. So hopefully soon we'll do an announcement about the grant and kind of our plans and timeline for that. So during the master planning process, we had one of our supporters, the Idema family, with the Idema Explorers Trail along the Grand River is named after them. One of the family representatives wanted to come and visit. And I said, well, let us meet you out there and we'll give you a tour of the site. So we met them out there and we had some of our boards we had from doing our master plan. And you know, if anybody's done a master plan process, they'll just have bubbles and a name of what it might be. And she asked, well, what's this? And we said, well, you know, originally, way early on when the site was identified, they thought it might be a good site for camping. And they had slated like 42 acres of active campground. And we'd kind of knocked that off the master plan to begin with, but we said, well, what about some sort of alternative or unusual camping, like outfitted camping, something like yurts or tree houses? And it was still an evolutionary process with our master plan, but that supporter said, you know what, we've been to Mongolia, we've stayed in yurts, we want to pay for your yurts. So, and that's honest, that's how it happened. And we had to get the master plan finished in time so that they could, you know, send us a donation to pay for the yurts. And then when they saw the final master plan, they saw the tree houses on the right-hand side. And they said, wow, those are really cool tree houses. We're going to send you a check for those. And so then last year in the summertime, the same kind of family rep said, well, hey, we want to come meet. And then we were like, we don't have any projects. Like, what are we going to do? Right? Like, what are we going to tell them about? And they came in and said, now, down at the bottom is where the camping is, and up at the top is where the access is. So when they gave us these funds, I had said, hey, look, we can't build it for like 5 years because we have to get the paving, the infrastructure, the water, the electric in. And let's face it, nobody wants to pay and donate money to do the infrastructure improvements. So we knew we were starting to work on the plan to do that. And they said, well, how much will it take to get you that infrastructure there so you can start the construction next year? And we said $2.5 million. And they kind of said, are you sure? And we said, yeah, this is what it'll take. I said, okay, here's $2.5 million. So we're heavily in the design and engineering. Hopefully we'll bid it out in September. $3.5 million of private dollars will kick this off. But then we're also focused on, around that lake is this amazing trail. But if you get about halfway around it, you're like, whew, this is walking in beach sand. And it's 1.6 miles around. So we really need to make that improvement as an accessible trail, hard surface. So we've applied for a grant to help with paving that trail as well as a day-use restroom up at what we'll call the entryway. And we're incredibly excited about this just because we're able to leverage these private dollars then to secure additional state funds, and we'll have very little of our parks millage invested in it. So we have all these great acquisition and infrastructure improvements, but one of the things I tell people, part of our job is telling the story and connecting folks to the properties and the natural resources that we have and telling them about how important they are. And so we're working on what we call Parks for All, and we secured a grant through the Grand Haven Community Foundation, but really focusing on expanding nature education and the access. So it focuses on virtual programming, so we'll be able to live stream programming, as well as programming for fourth graders in Ottawa County to bring them out, and that's when the curriculum focuses on natural resources and ecology. So we have a little bit about our nature center. See if it starts. Nope. So I don't know if this one's a little bit different. It had to be, it was a YouTube video. So I don't know if that one is going to work. So I don't think it will. And then this one is another one. So we've done several virtual programs already. During COVID, we sat down with our programming staff and we started working on virtual programming. If you can do it, we'll do this one. And you know, our naturalists who were used to being out in the field talking to groups of people got behind the camera and started doing videos of our nature-based programming. So this one just talks a little bit about our nature center and the programming we offer there and why that's so important. But we also have a whole catalog of then virtual programming, our Coffee with the Birds, wildflower walks. One of them is a Whippoorwill walk, and we're installing all of the virtual programming equipment at our nature center. So then we can produce and do the programming just like the folks do here at Hope College. So, and that's essentially the end of my presentation. So how am I on time? Now, I went through it pretty quick to give some time for a little bit of question and answer. And then also, so the one thing I didn't mention, I know that I had talked about the Grand River Greenway. Our completion schedule is 2027. So we hope to have that one done in 2027. And then my long-term goal is for our Parks for All or expanding nature education is that we work with our foundation and remove all financial barriers for all fourth graders in Ottawa County. So there are over 4,000 here in Ottawa County. And so we, you good? So we'll play this one really quick. It talks about our programming.
Hi, I'm Jessica Gregory, and this is my EcoBuzz.
If you've ever hiked a forested path, paddled a spring-fed stream, dipped for tadpoles, or searched for salamanders, then you understand the value of nature education.
And you know, it's not just about relaying knowledge, it's about igniting curiosity, creating memories, and having fun. And most importantly, it's about raising up the next generation of nature conservation advocates. The spring of 2020 marked the 10-year anniversary of Ottawa County's Nature Center. Nestled on the banks of the Pigeon River within Hemlock Crossing County Park, the Nature Center is a true gem when it comes to nature education.
From nighttime owl prowls and woodcock walks to guided paddles down the Pigeon River, the Nature Center offers something for everyone. Outdoor experiences range from classroom field trips, recreational opportunities, nature programs for all ages, and summer camps.
Beyond these great programs, what has drawn the thousands of visitors here in the 10 years since it first opened?
The center is situated at the end of a beautiful drive through a restored wetland and meadow area. The building itself is LEED certified, and its vaulted ceilings and huge windows make visitors feel as though they're a part of the great outdoors. You can take a seat in the wildlife den and watch unnoticed as a variety of birds, squirrels, and occasionally other critters scurry or flutter around in the nature viewing area. There are lots of hands-on activities for the little ones to touch and explore too. Learn the cultural and ecological history of Michigan and the Pigeon River through the many exhibit displays, accompanied by nature artifacts and original artwork pieces throughout the center.
On chilly winter days, visitors can even be seen partaking in a cup of hot cocoa or cider as they warm up before the huge fieldstone fireplace here in the Great Room.
And this is all just inside the Nature Center. Outside at Hemlock Crossing are over 6 miles of trails to explore. A kayak launch conveniently beckons visitors to the water, and snowshoe rentals are available in the winter, providing opportunities for all seasons. Have questions about something you've spotted on the trail? Stop in at the welcome desk and a friendly naturalist can provide assistance.
Nature is meant to be experienced and explored, and I'm grateful for Ottawa County's Nature Center, who is committed to helping as many people as possible do just that. The Nature Center is celebrating 10 years of not just nature education, but 10 years of
Children and families spending time outdoors, 10 years of supporting nature conservation, 10 years of inspiring nature investigation,
and 10 years of investing in the future of Michigan's natural resources. Will you join me in looking forward to many more? Thanks for watching. Happy naturing.
The making of this video was sponsored by the Ottawa County Parks and Recreation Commission.
So they're going to load the next one for me, and we'll just watch a little bit of it, but it is one of our naturalists, Curtis Dykstra, and has anybody seen one of Curtis's programs or birding programs? Well, I only see a couple hands. So if you all are interested all in birding, he is the expert in West Michigan. And the majority of his programs are free, and you can go ahead and get started. And one of the great things that we're doing, though, is we're starting to videotape these. And this is Curtis.
Center at Hemlock Crossing County Park. Thanks for tuning in. Today we'll be entering the world of the whippoorwill. I'm sure this whistler of the night is unfamiliar to many of you, so let's shed some light on this bird of moonlit forests. First, I'll be telling you a bit about whippoorwills and what makes them so unique. Then, we'll be exploring their habitat here at Port Sheldon Natural Area during daylight hours. Last, we'll be coming back at night to look for them and hear them sing. Come join me as we explore together.
So, before COVID, we didn't do virtual programming.
To understand this bird a bit better,
And
let's start
so
with its name.
really it's been this evolution
Whippoorwill is
of
actually
how do we
onomatopoeic to the song
reach
it
people
sings at
while
night.
everybody,
That
you couldn't
means
meet in
it
person.
resembles the
So
sound it makes. Let's take a listen.
we're now, and we had done it with just
Do you
really
hear it
rudimentary
saying,
equipment,
"Whippoorwill"?
and then we had some volunteers who had a little bit higher technology equipment and helped us with some of our programming. But like I had mentioned earlier, we've recently received a grant and are going through the process of updating our equipment. And we'll go ahead and stop that. I don't know if mine will work, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So. Oh, she'll go around. Am I doing okay on time?
You have plenty of time. Yes, we have plenty of time, and then at the end, we'll do our quiz. Because you had that all in there.
I did. You did? Well, I didn't, yep. What? Well, so we actually have 2 parks that had skunk farms. So, I'm sorry? So one of the questions was, which, The fresh scented park was once home to a skunk farm. So we have 2. One's along Lake Michigan, and then one is on the Grand River, and we opened, so I'll give you a hint, that one's Stearns Creek, and we opened that in 2019. So that's not the one that the question was about.
We'll just go. So my question is, did you have a lot of your virtual programming, do you have a YouTube channel or some place where people can subscribe or find your virtual programming?
So all of our productive videos are on the YouTube channel for Ottawa County. So if you find Ottawa County's YouTube channel and then look at the videos, you'll find and they're mixed in there. Now, I think you can sort them by parks maybe, but like the Whippoorwill, so last night I found the Whippoorwill talk, and it was our highest rated parks one. So that's why I included it. So yes, we work quite a bit with ODC, so especially in the Makatawa Greenway. They're the lead agency who then helps facilitate with the community partners here, so the different municipalities and townships in the southern part of the county. And then we also partner with them on all sorts of projects. So. All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and talk a little bit about Ottawa County Parks.
Claudia.
I'm not going to let Jason leave here yet because did we answer your, you can stay right here with me and we'll see what they know the answers to the questions. Does anybody have the answer to the granddaddy of all the state parks? He showed a picture of it. You are right, it is Tunnel Park. How many of you have been to Tunnel Park?
And it's a county park.
It's
It's a county park.
Great. Okay. What was the name of the park where President Gerald R. Ford in 1927 was a Boy Scout counselor? Pardon? No, that's a good one, but it's really quite close to us where it was.
Yep.
Kirk, you're right. It is Kirk Park. It is very close to us. Remember, he grew up in Grand Rapids. And then did they answer the fresh-scented one?
Well, I gave him a clue.
I know you did,
So,
and I
but
didn't hear any answers on it, did you?
But if they, there we go.
Yes, very good.
There's Rick. I see Rick now. Yes. So Rosie, Mound, and Stearns both had fox farms. So skunk farms.
Skunk farms.
And you know what? I misspoke. So Stearns had the fox farm, and Rosie Mound had the skunk farm.
Oh, I didn't know Stern
So-
had that.
Yes.
What
Uh-huh.
is a skunk farm?
So you're pretty smart on your parks. I hope you will go out and enjoy them during here. Do you have another question?
We have a question here. What is a skunk farm?
Oh, you have to answer that.
So when fur was commercially raised, so skunks were raised for their fur, so as well as foxes. I couldn't quite hear that. So the skunk farm was at Rosie Mound. Okay.
Are we good? Any other questions for Jason? I hope that all of you do take this wonderful opportunity with the beautiful weather we've had, and even into the fall and winter, to visit some of the Ottawa County parks. They are a true gift. Another question. Okay.
Some of us might like to know the cost of for annual membership to these parks. There is a cost, I believe.
So all of our parks are free except when you go to a lakeshore park between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And I don't know right off the top, the daily permit's $8. I think an annual permit's $25, and then there's a reduced for seniors. So
I think it's $12 for seniors.
Yep. So, but that's only Memorial Day to Labor Day at the lakeshore parks. All the rest of the time, and Riverside, we have a boat launch. So if you go there and park and have your trailer, you need a permit there. Yes. Over here, we have someone over here. Oh, okay, we got one here.
Oh, one quick question before you hand off the other mic. Can we get a hard copy of this deck, or are the maps available somewhere that you were showing? It was a little bit difficult for at least to read, and it looked like there was some good information there.
Well, so what I can do is we have hard copies of all of our park maps and our newsletters and brochures at our Nature Center or at the Fillmore Complex. Some of the maps I was showing today of the different greenways or internal documents, we have a really good one of the Grand River Greenway. So I can pass that along to the folks with HASP, and they can share that with you.
I just wanted to say the park on the south side of Holland is great.
So is that one of the state parks? So Sagatuck?
It's
maybe?
one of the, I think it's the state park, perhaps
Yeah.
it's just a city park, I'm not sure.
Yep. I think Sagatuck Dunes.
It's
maybe?
south of the airport area, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere there. They offer a lot of children's programs.
Outdoor Discovery Center.
Oh, that's the Outdoor Discovery Center.
Outdoor Discovery,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Allegan County.
Yes.
But they keep adding stuff all the time.
Yep.
One of my favorite spots.
Yeah, great programming. Yes, sir.
At Hemlock Crossing, will the observatory be open later in the evening? I think the park closes at 10 or something like that. But for people that like to do celestial photography, will the park remain open later on?
So we'll have scheduled times where we have programming available. Our partners, will be able to utilize it through scheduled activities through their organization because of, they funded the observatory, and then it'll be open to the public when we have our programming.
If Gerald R. Ford camped when he was a Boy Scout, I don't know what years that might have been, in the 20s maybe. But Kirk Park was developed somewhat recently. So what is the history of Kirk Park?
So it
maybe?
was, and I don't have the dates. I can look them up for you if you want me to before I leave. But so it was originally a scout camp. So, and for a number of years it was a scout camp. And then I think, so the gentleman up front mentioned Duck Lake. I think it moved, that camp then when it left Kirk Park, I think went to Duck Lake, maybe. And then we then, so actually it wasn't us, it was the road commission, bought it, and Kirk was one of the head counselors or head scout leaders for when it was a scout camp. So it's named after the scouting program there. And
it was actually two scout camps, Camp Chelanesee and Camp Bonaventure.
okay. Yep.
Any other questions? Oh, one way back there, John.
Okay. And then in 1986, when the properties transitioned to the Parks Commission from the Road Commissions, when the Parks Commission started managing Kirk Park. So it was one of the first 9, I believe.
Now, I have a really tricky question here. And those of you who've lived in Holland many years may know the answer to it, but maybe we won't know it at all. While eagles have been sighted at many Ottawa County parks, birdies, and this is in parentheses, of a different variety flew here at this park. Got to think of something that was in our community many years ago, no longer here, where people went and golfed.
And there was a picture in one of my videos.
Yes, this is the final tricky question. No. Oh, it's going to be, when I tell you, you're going to be, oh, yeah.
So the picture is at Hemlock
Did you
Crossing.
say what?
There's a picture at Hemlock Crossing.
Did you say?
Port Sheldon.
No, somebody's, Papa, yes, which is the old Holland Country Club. Birdies, you get the little play on the words there?
Well, and we have Pigeon Creek, which is named after the passenger pigeon.
Okay.
So I was confused by that question. So
Yes,
Yeah.
I probably did confuse you. I thank you all. This has been a wonderful presentation, Jason, and I hope that maybe you will see us out on the trails somewhere. And when are the yurks going to be available to rent?
Well, we're shooting to break ground late fall, so that means maybe like early November, and then we'll be lucky if we have the yurts up by next year at that time. So
2 years?
we'll see.
We'll see.
So,
Sounds
yeah.
like a great
We're working hard on it, but
I think
yeah.
all of us would like a benefactor or donor like the Idema family who have been very generous to Ottawa County Parks. May I remind you, September 6th, Ron Bogle, brother of our own Haas member, Gary Bogle, he is president and CEO of National Design Alliance, and he is going to be here in person to talk about reimagining American schools. So we look forward to seeing all of you on September 6th here at the Jack Miller or live on stream with the video there. So thank you all. Have a great day.